2016 meeting of the Hutchinson City Council to order. Please call roll, please.
Pyrus de Carvalho.
Here.
Solner. Here. Inskeep.
Here.
Deckent.
Here.
Dayline.
Here.
Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If I could ask Jade to lead us in a brief prayer. Jade, if you would, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Please join me in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the many blessings you've bestowed upon our city and for the devoted staff that provides us with the services that makes this community great. And we ask that you watch over our first responders as they do their difficult and sometimes dangerous job. And God, we ask that you grant the council discernment to make decisions that are in the best interest of the city as a whole instead of our limited viewpoint. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jade. Next item, please.
Item 4A, a proclamation for ADA Awareness Month.
Good morning. We have two proclamations this morning. I'd like to ask Roger Fritschmeyer to come forward. Good morning once again, Roger. How are you? Fine. Nice to see you, sir. You betcha. Always nice to have you back with us.
Thank you.
Whereas the Americans with Disability Act, ADA, landmark civil rights legislation, was signed on July 26, 1990, and whereas this year marks the 26th anniversary of its signing, and whereas equality and freedom are cornerstones to democracy for all Americans, and whereas the ADA is based on a basic presumption that people with disabilities want to work and are capable of working, want to be members of our communities and are capable of being members of the community, and that exclusion and segregation cannot be tolerated. And whereas the purpose of the act is to end discrimination against people with disabilities and provide equal access, opportunity and protection in private sector employment, state and local government, public transportation, public accommodations, private transportation, and telecommunications. Now, therefore, I, John Daveline, Mayor of the City of Hutchinson, Kansas, do hereby proclaim the month of July as ADA Awareness Month and ask our citizens, together with government, business, and industry, to join together in celebration of the 26th anniversary of this historic legislation and as a renewed commitment to providing equality for all Americans. Roger, would you like to say a few words?
Absolutely. First of all, I want to thank the City Council for the proclamation as we celebrate the 26th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. George Bush, when he signed this bill into law, said, "I now lift my pen to sign this Americans with Disabilities Act. Let the shameful wall of exclusion finally come tumbling down." In the past 26 years, we've done a lot to knock down that wall of exclusion. There are more curb cuts for people who use wheelchairs so that they can access their community. Yet we still have a lot to do because there are places in our community where there are no sidewalks. We have restaurants that have Braille menus for those of us who use that medium for communication. Yet there are still a lot of places where I can't access a menu. Assistive technology has done a lot to make the printed word available to me almost instantaneously. Whereas 26 years ago, I couldn't read the newspaper. Today I can. And so it's brought access that up until 10 years ago probably was not available. And it has changed my life. As a matter of fact, the iPhone comes usable for people with disabilities right out of the box. So we've made a lot of progress, but we still have a lot of work we have to do. People with disabilities are still underemployed. Only about 20% of people with disabilities are actually working. And most people with disabilities are still in poverty. Think about your life and think about how your life would be different if you lived on $733 a month, which is the maximum SSI payment that a lot of people with disabilities get. Think about those things that you couldn't do. even if you wanted to. And think about how that would limit your access to your community. We've made a lot of progress. The other area where we still have a lot of work to do is around voting. People with disabilities vote at about half the rate of their non-disabled counterparts. Partially because online voter registration, there are still a lot of problems with accessibility. Partially because polls in many places still are not accessible. And so to fully be included in the community, those things have to change. One of the things that Pillar is doing this week, actually, on Thursday and Friday, we are having voter registration at the center. So if anyone needs to register to vote, they can come by and we will help them fill out registration. We are also having from 1 to 4 on Thursday, the county election officer come with an accessible voting machine. So if you're out and about, stop by, have some light refreshments, check out the voting machine. It's going to be a good thing to allow people with disabilities to check out the accessible machines before the elections in August and November. As I said, we've made a lot of progress, but it can only be people with disabilities working toward that progress. It has to be government, it has to be business and industries, it has to be people with disabilities, and it has to be our community, our friends, our families. If we do that, 26 years from now, we will have torn down that shameful wall of exclusion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you.
Roger, I'm going to present to you a signed copy of the proclamation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to ask Amy Conklin and Karen Neal to come forward, please. And Justin Combs. Good morning. Hi, Karen. Nice to see
Nice
you.
to
How are
see you.
you? Nice to see you guys. How are you? Fine.
Good.
Whereas, parks and recreation programs are an integral part of communities throughout this country, including the city of Hutchinson. And whereas our parks and recreation programs are vitally important to establishing and maintaining the quality of life in our communities, ensuring the health of all citizens, and contributing to the economic and environmental well-being of a community and region. And parks and recreation programs build healthy, active communities that aid in the prevention of chronic disease, provide therapeutic recreation services for those who are mentally or physically disabled, and also improve the mental and emotional health of all citizens. And whereas parks and recreation programs increase the community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, crime reduction, and parks and recreation areas are fundamental to the environmental well-being of our community. And whereas parks and natural recreation areas improve water quality, protect groundwater, prevent flooding, improve the quality of air we breathe, provide vegetative buffers to development, and produce habitat for wildlife, and our parks and natural recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. And whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has designated July as Parks and Recreation Month, and the City of Hutchinson recognizes the benefits derived from parks and recreation resources. Now, therefore, I, John Daveline, Mayor of the City of Hutchinson, Kansas, do hereby proclaim the month of July as Parks and Recreation Month. Would you like to say a few words, Karen?
I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of the Recreation Commission and my fellow board members. Your involvement and the city's involvement with Parks and Recreation, it makes our job a whole lot easier and more fun, and we just encourage everybody to get outside and take advantage of everything that we offer. Let Justin speak.
Good morning, Justin Combs, Director of Parks and Facilities. I would like to echo Karen's comments and just thank City Council for their support of parks and recreation. It truly is important to this community. This is a really exciting time right now. I was just sitting here thinking about all the projects we have going, and I'll probably forget a couple, but right now we're designing the next phase of Orchard Park. We're very near the groundbreaking at Rice Park splash pad. I've got 2 playgrounds on order that will be here within the next 2 or 3 weeks. Sports arena projects going full bore. We'll talk about that later on, which is going to be a huge improvement to this community. So it's exciting times in Parks and Recreation right now. So again, I would like to thank City Council as well as Hutch Rec, all their staff and their board members. They do a lot to support the city parks as well. Without the programming, the parks really aren't fully utilized. So it's a great cooperative. So again, thank you.
Thank you, Will.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
All right, next item, please.
Item 5A, CDBG grant outcome and housing priorities.
Good morning, Jana McCarron, Director of Planning and Development. And, oops, I think I have the wrong PowerPoint queued up here. CDBG grant and housing priorities. We wanted to come to, there we go. Nope, that's still not the right one. We wanted to come before you and just present to you some of the results of the CBG grant, so you can see the progress is completed, and we'll be closing out the grant soon. And I have a short PowerPoint for you, and here it comes. I'm not very good at tap dancing.
Promises.
I know it's coming. I can see it. Okay. I think they're trying to get it to start. Oops. As you are aware, the city received in 2014 a $400,000 CDBG grant from the state, and that was matched by $94,411 from local match. That was the city's contribution, some permit fee waivers, as well as landlord contributions. So we didn't actually have $94,000 in cash that were contributed to the project. We were supposed to rehabilitate 18 homes, 12 owner-occupied, and 6 rental units. And applicants were to be within the district boundaries and income qualify. We actually managed to rehabilitate 11 owner-occupied homes and 5 rental units, so that was 2 fewer than what we had planned. And there were a variety of reasons for that, but as you guys will remember, when we brought forward the contracts, most of the contracts were coming in over what we thought the average amount would be to fix those houses. So I just have some pictures here to show you. I don't know why this isn't advancing. Some pictures to show you of, hopefully they'll catch up to me. We have some before and after pictures.
While you're waiting, Jana,
Yeah.
quick question.
The door back there.
Was there any negative feedback since we were a couple of units short, or do they recognize the cost?
The state recognized the cost, and they came and did a kind of end of project review with us. Went out and toured the whole corridor, and they went to, they were particularly happy with, and I'm going to show you photos, at the east end, where we had several projects right in a row. I think they've got us, I think she's getting it close. And so, no, they understood. It's these things happen.
Okay.
You kind of try to guess what you think it's going to cost.
And the area again was from Lorraine? That was an addition, I know that.
Originally, it was all the way from basically, what was the eastern boundary? Poplar?
Sorry, Elm? Or, no.
Maple.
Maple.
Western,
It was from Maple, or the western boundary was Maple, all the way to the Lorraine. And then we wound up having to expand it because we couldn't get enough homes that were in the price range where we could afford to do the improvements. And so we expanded it, as you guys will remember, and that they're having problems.
Jumped ahead.
Well, I know that there was some concern that corridor was too large to have a noticeable impact, but I go down that corridor a lot, and I think it has made a difference, that grant.
Okay, I think.
Oh, good. We're up
Yeah,
and
we're
running.
good. all right, so here's some before and after photos for you. Thank you for being patient during the
Technical
video
difficulties.
incident there. This is 309 East Avenue A. Probably did mostly, we did some siding work, we repaired the porch, gutters, window replacement, and some electrical and plumbing. So some of these have more interior work than exterior, but this one at 318 East Avenue A, you can see there's quite a bit of difference between the before and after here. The foundation was repaired, they replaced some damaged siding, doors and windows, installed new roof and gutters, and repaired the porch. 325 East Avenue A, new windows, updated electrical, replaced the furnace, did some porch repair, and some exterior work. 406 East Avenue A, repaired deteriorated stucco, put in some new guttering, replaced and repaired doors, repaired interior ceiling, new bathroom fixtures, and repaired the side porch walls. 607 East Avenue A, installed new gutters, paint. Oops, I'm on the wrong one here.
It's the blue house.
It's the blue house. Okay, she had a little bit of trouble getting that in the frame in the same angle, but repaired the front porch, replaced the windows, and did electrical updates. Got a whole new color on the house too. And then 715 East Avenue A, replaced the side porch, replaced some storm doors, repaired windows, wall repair, bathroom floor repair, new electrical. 801 East Avenue A, replaced the door and trim, replaced the windows, repaired walls and ceilings, new electrical, and replaced the air conditioner. 827 East Avenue A, it looks like a brand new house. Replaced the rear deck, repaired the sidewalk and driveway, replaced windows, interior repair work, electrical, plumbing, and replaced the air conditioning unit. 1004 East Avenue A, repaired the sidewalk, replaced the roof, did interior repairs, plumbing, replaced doors, electrical, and replaced the air conditioning unit. And 1031 East Sherman Avenue, repaired the sidewalk, replaced the roof, interior repairs, replaced doors, plumbing, electrical, and air conditioning unit. 1111 East Avenue B, and again, this house, you can see they did quite a bit of work on it. Repaired the foundation, replaced the siding, replaced gutters, fixed the porch, driveway repairs, doors, and windows. 1213 East Avenue A, again, this house was not quite done, or was under repair. Replaced the gutters, repaired damaged flooring, installed new windows, did electrical work, replaced and repaired damaged ductwork. And this house also used some of the 2016 housing rehabilitation dollars that City Council granted to interfaith housing. 1217 East Avenue A, again, a marked difference in the before and after. Repaired the foundation, replaced damaged siding, doors and windows, installed new roof and gutters, and repaired the porch. 1221 and 1223 East Avenue A, installed new siding and gutters, interior repair work, replaced doors and windows, electrical and mechanical repair in both sides of the duplex. 1225 East Avenue A, installed new siding and gutters, installed new exterior deck and stairs, replaced doors and windows, did electrical and mechanical repairs and interior repair work. And then I told you I had a photo of the end of the Avenue A, the end of the corridor, and you can see several of those houses. I don't have the before picture of them, but they have that end of Avenue A has seen a marked improvement. And on the very corner, there's a duplex that's going to go in there, and they're using that grant money also that was given to interfaith housing. So we'll be coming to you probably in the next month or so to just formally close out the grant, but we did want to give you a report, and that'll be a really quick item. Probably won't even, probably be on the consent agenda. So I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Just excellent leverage of federal monies with local match monies to improve our housing stock. Going forward, will we be eligible, or do we intend to apply for another CDBG grant?
We are eligible to apply. I don't know that we'll have a chance to apply this year because the deadline is in August, and we
Okay.
haven't really formally closed this one yet. But for sure, next year we plan to apply. And we'll probably be looking at one of our future neighborhoods that we've been doing work in. Is my guess.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, it's excellent work. I mean, obviously, some tremendous change in the exterior appearance, but just listening to your reciting what's been done, those houses are more livable and should be good housing for many years to come because of not only the exterior, but certainly the interior work that was done, and certainly life safety issues as well. So it was, even though it was in a large area and the impact is not so seeable unless you know what you're looking for, there's obviously been a lot of impact.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions of Jana? You have another item
Yes.
as well.
So our next item is, we just want to give you a little teaser for the comprehensive plan. And you'll remember, I think it was in May, you awarded a contract to Shockey Consulting to do our public engagement for us. And that process has already started. But I just wanted to kind of give everyone a feel for what a comprehensive plan is. It's really our blueprint for the future. It establishes a vision of where we want to be 20 years from now. And it then contains strategies for how we go about achieving that vision. Some comprehensive plans have a budget and a work plan, specific tasks that have budgets tied to them. And that's what we're hoping to do with ours, to kind of make it be a hybrid strategic plan, comprehensive plan. You'll see there our consultant is already putting together some of the promotional materials for the comprehensive plan, and we do have a steering committee, which 2 of your city councilors are on. Councilor Kairos DiCarvello and Councilor Soldner, sorry, are both on that. And we've only met once, but we've been communicating via email. We'll have another meeting later on this month. But just to give you some ideas of what's going on, stakeholder interviews were held actually last week, week before last, on June 23rd and 24th. And those were just with the consultant and area leaders. They didn't want commissioners necessarily, didn't want staff or city council members. So they have provided us with some initial feedback on that. The website should be launched this month. And then the real reason for me coming up here is we're going to have a big public kickoff meeting July 28th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the atrium. And the whole community is invited to come. We will have some food and little giveaways, but more importantly, we want to talk about, what does the community want for their future. Also, we're doing Meeting in a Box, which is kind of mini engagements with groups that are already meeting, and those will start, I believe, tomorrow. Ron Fisher has been enlisted to help us with those. And then he's going to be going to a couple of different events to also get feedback, and then we're working on a survey, and we should have that ready by the end of this month.
Jana, where's the survey go, or to whom, or?
Well, we were planning to do both, a couple of different things. SurveyMonkey, and then we'll send that out to everybody. Say, please share. Also, we plan to send it in the utility bills. Have it at the library. Have it available at our counters and any other place we can think to put it. And if you have any suggestions, we'd be happy to entertain those. So the public engagement will be from June to October, and then we'll tabulate the survey in September, October timeframe. We're already kind of working on some of the history and background pieces of the plan. We hope to have those done, the draft plan ready by November, and staff's work doing the drafting of the plan. And then Shockey will present that to the public in December to get feedback, the draft plan, and then the final plan will go back and finesse it some, and the final plan should be ready here for you guys to approve, we hope, in April. So we're well underway. And then here again, another plug for the public meeting. Thursday, July 28th from 6 to 8. We hope that everyone can be there. We will have refreshments. The Shockey group, they're excellent. This is what they do. And I think everyone who comes will feel like they really got fully engaged, and their ideas are part of the process. We want everyone's ideas. So any questions?
Janet, on the public meeting, thoughts on how you plan to promote the attendance of that?
Right. Well, Facebook, I think Twitter. We're going to put an ad in the paper. We have flyers already out at our counter, but we're going to take some to the library, and we're going to contact the radio station, see if we can't get on the radio station. And we are happy to share this with you if you guys want to send it out to your email list, or if you have, like I said, any other ideas for how to promote it. We're happy to entertain those.
Good.
Okay, thank you.
Fine. Thank you, Jana.
Thank you.
Next item is oral communications from the audience. This is the time we reserve for anybody in the audience that would like to come forward and to offer any comments, limited to 5 minutes. And we ask for your name and address if there are any folks that want to speak. All right, we don't see any, so we'll go to the next item, please.
Item 6, consent agenda.
Any questions, or do I hear a motion?
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Please call roll.
Pyros de Carvalho?
Yes.
Soldner? Yes. Inskeep?
Yes.
Deckent?
Yes.
Dave Light?
Yes. Next item, please.
Item 7A, consider ordinance amending Chapter 27 of the City Code regarding accessory buildings.
Good morning again. Jana McCarron, Director of Planning and Development. And this item is some amendments referring to residential accessory structures. And I just want to applaud our IT folks because we sent them 3 different PowerPoints and didn't really give them the item numbers, so they're doing great back there. Just a little background. Our current zoning regulations were adopted in February 2011, and we've tried to make updates almost every year because things change, desires change, and sometimes we just kind of messed up in our ordinance. So we made updates in 2012, 2014, and 2015. In the summer of 2015, Norman Grass, who's a local resident, petitioned the Planning Commission. He actually came to them and asked them to revise our regulations pertaining to accessory structures. His concern was that our regulations were pretty stringent. He owned probably close to half an acre, several lots that comprised about half an acre, and he had a rather small house, and he wanted to build a detached garage, and our current regulations say you cannot build an accessory structure that's larger than your house. Mm-hmm. So I think his house was around 800 square feet, so that would limit his garage to 800 square feet, and he wanted something a little bit bigger than that. And for the size of lots that he had, a big, half acre, 800 square foot outbuildings seemed kind of small. So the Planning Commission asked staff to look into it. We have had, as you know, some turnover on staff, and we've had a staffing shortage, so we didn't get to the task of looking at it till the spring. So in April of 2016, we held a study session with the Planning Commission, and the public hearing was held June 7th. And then because of a staff error, we had to go back to the Planning Commission to actually have them approve the correct version of the amendments. That was my error, by the way. So just a summary of what we're proposing to amend. And before I jump into this, I would like to state that probably between 50 to 75% of the people who come in and are unhappy with us, it's because of these regulations. So we wanted to change them for a while. We just wanted to be thoughtful about it. And if you look in your packet, I gave you a comparison of other cities, and they're all over the board as to what they allow. So I don't know that there's any right or wrong way. It's just what's best for our community. So what we're proposing in the amendments is, rather than having the height be limited to the height of the house, which is very hard for us to figure out, and even harder for the residents to figure out, and then they get it built and it's taller. We don't want to tell them to have to tear it down. It's just doing it based on sidewall height, and our recommendation is 12 feet. Having a maximum rear lot coverage of 35%. Right now it's 30%, so this would be just a little bit more. One issue that comes up quite frequently is folks will want to put in a detached garage, and they want to put it at the very back of their lot, and then they find out they have to pave a driveway all the way to it. So the Planning Commission, this was actually their recommendation, that we just require them to pave the driveway to the rear of the house, and then beyond that it could be gravel basically, or crushed rock, which should be a lot more affordable for folks. Also, we're recommending changing the maximum sizes. A detached garage and a storage shed, the maximum size for both of those would be 1,200 square feet. That could be increased on larger lots. So if you had a lot like Mr. Grass's, he could go up to 10% of the total rear lot coverage, which I don't remember how big his rear lot was, but he could probably go to maybe 2,000 square feet with his detached structure, as long as he didn't exceed the lot coverage on the rear. The maximum carport size would be 600 square feet, and also clarify that all structures, even those that are too small for permits, so anything under, I think it's 120 square feet, we don't require a permit for, but those do count towards your rear lot coverage. So you couldn't get around the regulations by just putting a bunch of small sheds in your rear yard. Also clarified that if you have a duplex, you can have one detached garage, one shed, and one carport per unit. Right now, the regulations say you can only have one per whole duplex. So I don't know if you're the lucky one, you could have, each could have a carport, but you could only have one garage and one shed. So it's a lot of duplexes, you own the whole lot, and then you own half of the house. So I guess if your neighbor put in the detached garage first, you're out of luck. So anyway, we think this is a little more fair. That sheds may have doors less than 8 feet wide. If they are 8 feet or wider, then they're considered a garage. So that should help people in practice. We've had about 6 feet, but there are some large mowers that won't fit very well in a 6-foot doorway. Not many cars can fit in under 8-foot wide door. And then accessory structures on permanent foundations be allowed to be rebuilt without having to get a variance. There are some older garages in town that don't meet our setback requirements. And those folks they're kind of in a pickle if their garage falls down or burns down or blows over. To rebuild it, they'd have to get a variance to put it back where it has historically been. But they would have to meet the requirements of the building code. So if you're too close to a property line under the building code, you do have to put in, I think it's firewalls. So there would be protection there. And then this is an amendment that was added, home occupations being limited to the primary dwelling unit only. If we're going, and the thinking there is if we're going to be allowing these larger accessory structures, we don't really want people building them just so they can put their business in them. Right now, our current regulations say you can occupy up to 50% of an accessory structure with a home occupation. And so the thinking was, well, we don't want people to build a big, huge building out there and put their business in it, because we want to kind of protect the integrity of our residential zones.
Are people that have those structures already in existence grandfathered?
They would be grandfathered.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jana, one question in our packet, and if I'm getting ahead of myself, just
Sure.
stop me. But you talked about compatibility of materials and metals versus other forms of materials. Well, how are you interpreting that?
Well, we're not recommending changing that.
Okay.
But how we've interpreted it since 2011 is you cannot have a metal shed or garage unless you have a metal house, basically.
Unless you have a metal house. I
Or
see.
there's a lot of metal surrounding you. So basically, we've not allowed very many of those to go in. The small ones that don't require a permit, those can be metal. But yeah, we've not allowed any metal garages for the most part.
So a house that has siding on it would be eligible to
If it had metal siding.
metal siding?
Yeah, which there are a few houses. I don't think we've issued very many.
Okay.
And that is another thing that people are unhappy about, in the interest of full disclosure. But that was a direction that City Council established in 2011, and staff's not really recommending we change that direction. I think for the most part, people have gotten used to it. So, anyway, that actually is all my summary of the amendments. I can talk about anything in particular in more detail. But this Planning Commission did recommend approval to the City Council of these proposed amendments, and staff recommends approval as well. I'm happy to answer any further questions.
Any other questions from?
Yes.
Yes.
On the excuse me, on the duplexes, if you had 2 sheds, 2 carports, 2 garages, seems to me to be exceeding the 35% in the backyard real fast. Is it applicable to duplexes as well, the 35%?
Oh, yes, the percentages are applicable, so
Okay.
they'd still have to meet that.
Okay.
Mhm.
I just want to make a comment. I liked your redlining, the changes in our packet material. For me, I find it much easier to follow. I mean, a list is nice to have, but it's nice to go through the actual ordinance and see the redlining. That it just makes it easy to see what was being taken out and what the new material is. So I appreciated that.
Jan, I just had a few questions.
Sure.
Was really happy to see these changes in the regulations, as I'm sure many of us have heard from people over the years about the accessory structures in particular. And I wanted to ask how this would affect the property we discussed a few weeks ago, the Sowers property. Would
Yeah,
that
you would
permit
you still have to access from
the main road?
The main road. We're not recommending changing that. But he would be allowed to have gravel once he got past his house.
Okay.
So I think that would be a significant.
So he still wouldn't be able to
savings.
pave from behind the house up to the accessory structure. He'd have to pave from the front.
Right.
Okay.
Now, there's a little bit of, he can come off of his existing driveway. So we're
Okay.
not proposing people have to build a whole brand-new driveway. He
Yeah.
can loop off that existing driveway, and so the amount of paving could be relatively small. that he'd
Yeah, I
have
think
to
it's
put
more an
in.
aesthetic issue, if I remember correctly, because that would go across his front yard to the back, because it's the additional lot, the way it's placed
Right.
adjacent. But as far as size-wise, it would permit this.
Yeah, he could have a
change with-
bigger, I didn't really do the calculations for his, but he does have, because he owns 2 properties there, maybe 3, he does have quite a big area there, and so I think he would be able to build what he was proposing.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions of Jana? All right, do I hear a motion?
I would move to accept and approve the recommendation of the Planning Commission for amending Chapter 27 of the City Code regarding accessory buildings.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? Please call roll.
Pyros de Carvalho,
Yes.
Soldner,
Yes.
Inskeep,
Yes.
Deckent.
Yes.
Dave Long.
Yes. Next item, please.
Item 7B, consider annexation of land owned by KB Enterprises.
Paul Brown, City Attorney. Mr. Bauer is the managing member of KB Enterprises, and Mr. Bauer is here seated in the back row. In order to develop your land, you have to have it platted. In order to plat it, you have to have it all within the city. And there is just a small portion of his tract that is not in the city. And if you look above at the monitors, you'll see kind of a red triangle. Now, it's standing on end, okay? Actually, north to south is left and right, so it should be turned just a little bit. But that little red triangle is what he wants annexed into the city, so then he can plat all of his land for his development, which makes good sense, and we want him to do that. So we have presented a ordinance for annexation to the city council along with the accompanying documents necessary for annexation, and we would ask the council to do that.
All right. Any questions of Mr. Brown? All right. I would entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the consent for annexation for the identified land owned by KB Enterprises of Hutchinson LLC, the petition, which excludes the identified land from Reno County Fire District Number 2, adopt the ordinance including and incorporating the identified land within the limits and boundaries of the city of Hutchinson, Kansas, and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please call roll.
Iris de Carvalho?
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Inskeep?
Yes.
Deckent?
Yes.
Dave Lang?
Yes. Next item.
Item 7C, consider resolution for refunding industrial revenue bonds on behalf of Wesley Towers.
Good morning, Frank Edwards, Director of Finance with the city. I have with me Kevin Cowan, who is counsel for the petitioner here. He is with Gilmore Bell out of Wichita, if we have questions. This basically is a resolution with the intent of refunding some industrial revenue bonds on behalf of Wesley Towers. They would like to refund the 2013 series bonds with an amount not to exceed $4.25 million. This is really for the purpose of refinancing and reducing debt and lowering the debt service requirements. The city actually, on these industrial revenue bonds, there really is no impact to the city. We're just a conduit and pass through. So all the liabilities lie with Wesley Towers on paying for the bonds and paying for the costs of refinancing. So we are just assisting in this process. The city's bond council has reviewed the resolutions as well as the petitioner's council, and they're all in agreement that they support the resolution, and staff would recommend that you approve the attached resolution as presented.
Questions of Mr. Edwards? All right, Kevin, nice to see you, sir. How are you? Good. Good morning. You bet. Do I hear a motion?
Well, not a motion, just a comment. Thank you for coming over since we questioned you so vigorously and made you work for the time that you spent to come over and be here.
I think it's a Murphy's Law thing, but if I wasn't here,
Yeah.
We'd have all kinds of questions. You're right.
Exactly.
Well, I move we approve the resolution determining the intent to issue healthcare facilities refunding the revenue bonds of Hutchinson, and as presented by staff.
All right. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? Please call roll.
Iris de Carvalho?
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Inskeep?
Yes.
Deckent?
Yes.
Dave Lang?
Yes. Next item, please. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Item 8A, consider bid package number 3 for sports arena project.
Good morning. I'm Justin Combs, Director of Parks and Facilities. This item is for bid package 3 for the sports arena renovation project. Bid package 3 has a total of $1,077,364. I'll do a quick breakdown of what all that is for. Of that, $215,000 is for food service equipment, microwaves, hot dog roller, dishwashers, those sorts of things. $696,000 is for audio-visual equipment. Included in that is $99,000 of infrastructure. So it's just to get the conduit for the speakers and the electrical feeds for the video board and those sorts of things. That's included in that $696,000 number. As well, also in bid package 3, $69,000 for our interior and exterior sign package. That brings the total just for what was bid out at $981,000, $905. So that's the total for what we're purchasing. There's also some fees on top of that, permits, bonds, and insurance. It's an additional $38,000. J.E. Dunn's markup, or J.E. Dunn's fee is $26,000, and then we're adding $30,000 to the construction contingency because we're increasing the guaranteed maximum price. So all those combined, that's how we get to the $1,077,000 number. So that's all bid package 3. What this does is it increases our guaranteed maximum price to $26,909,531, which is slightly over budget. Our project budget for this is $25,738,998. The reason we're over budget is because we have not officially accepted the change orders for the VE item, the value engineered items. So if you were reading in your packet this sheet that has the yellow column, it does show that we're $1.1 million over budget. And again, the reason is we have not, J.E. Dunn has not submitted that change order yet. So all these numbers are based off base bid. So the bids we got from the subcontractors. J.E. Dunn is working on that change order to bring that number down, so we're right on budget. They just haven't. They're still working on a couple of the items in that to nail down the numbers. So on paper we are 1.1 over, but we have that change order on the way. So.
And that will exceed that $1.1 million.
Yeah, that change order right now is looking to be basically the exact amount that we're over. So we'll be right on budget.
We'll be flat.
Once we get the change order. So. The two big items we're working on, while we haven't done the change order yet, are tile. Our tile budget was way over, so we're trying to choose a less expensive product and decrease the amount of tile we have, and also landscaping was way over budget. So we're working with those subcontractors to get those numbers down, and that'll get us to that $1.1 million change order we're looking for. So I also do want to point out, in the audio visual package, this only includes one scoreboard or one video board, which the building committee has made it very clear, and so of our design team, that we really need two. The cost for that additional video board is just over $100,000. We are working to find a solution to that, whether it's through contingency or possibly through some outside funding, but we do have intentions of building two or buying two video boards. The number I talked about, the $99,000 for infrastructure for the audio visual package, does include infrastructure for that second video board. So.
And Justin, can you help me? Where are we at in the process of contracting with some kind of company to find sponsorship dollars or to put together advertising packages to try to come up with some additional funding?
That's a better question for the city manager. City manager and Dr. File have been working on that contract.
Okay.
So I know they've identified a couple companies. I don't know if they've signed an agreement with anybody yet or not. So.
Justin knows full well there's been a great deal of discussion at the Sports Arena Building Committee regarding the audiovisual. And I think the message that the architects heard is that we've got one chance to do this correctly in terms of the sound system. We've got one chance. So I'd like to ask Jason or Justin if you could maybe enlighten us a little bit as to the vendor that was selected, if you know about them and their qualifications. I assume they've all been vetted, but
they have.
But if you could enlighten us as a little bit about who they're, what is it, Ford
Audio
Visual.
They are
Video.
they are the contractor. They primarily do audio. They are subcontracting the video out to Daktronics,
To Daktronics.
who is a major player in video scoreboards. I've not had any personal dealings with Ford Audio, but J.E. Dunn has, and they've had a lot of success with them. So they were happy about their bid. The way this has been designed, this is going to be a great system, something we're going to be proud of. It's a system that can be added on. In the packet, you probably saw there was like 21 alternates for the audiovisual package. That just shows how flexible the system is. So down the road, if the college wants to do live video with playback, they'll have to add some equipment, but the basis of the equipment has, or the basic equipment has that ability. So it's just adding a couple processors and adding a few other things. We wouldn't have to go back and replace everything. So the system can be built upon to do more and more. So because the college doesn't really have an interest in doing some of those types of replays right now, we didn't include that. Just didn't make sense to include a bunch of things that nobody was going to use. Down the road, if they want to do that, we certainly can add that or look at adding it. So.
Justin, in the scope of the work on the sound system, the audiovisual, is it intentions to provide a good quality sound system to the auxiliary gyms?
Yes.
In the scope of this work?
Yes.
There is.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, there'll be a sound system in the 3 community gyms. Those systems can talk to each other if they want. So if we have a weather emergency, at one microphone, we can make an announcement across the entire building. They can be separated, so you could have something going on in the primary gym, and then you could have other things going on in the community gyms.
Very good. Thank you. Any other questions from council?
Well, this being the last or the final bid package, I hate to bring up alternates again.
Yeah.
Completely off the table, each and every one of them. Is that where we're standing, including the parking lot?
No,
No.
not off the table. No, we still have a contingency fund, both on the owner side and on J.E. Dunn side. So as we get further down the road with the project, we'll start. J.E. Dunn will make recommendations to release those contingency dollars. Right now we're still building foundations, so we're still in the ground. So we have prioritized those alternates. Video board is one. As well as parking lot is really the big one, and so we're working. Hopefully we'll get to the point we can release enough contingency dollars to do those.
Okay.
So, but not off the table.
Thank you.
You said as we get further down the road, whereabouts are we roughly? Under 10%? More?
We've billed more than 10%. We've billed 15 to 20%, roughly. Yeah, some quick math in my head.
Sure.
Not
Not
a
holding
Parks
you to
guy,
it,
so
yeah.
Don't write that down.
No, not holding you to it, just rough. Thank you.
Yeah.
15%.
Right.
Related, just in terms of the timeline and work progress, regardless the percentage, are we on schedule this far?
Yes, we are. Yep. Yeah, we've had some delays in some areas, but we found some efficiencies in other areas. So the weather's been the biggest thing with, the contractors watching the weather when we open up holes to pour foundations. We're hoping not to fill them with water, but the weather's been the largest delay at this point. So.
Okay.
Justin, a few weeks ago we heard that there were some concerns in regard to bid package 3 and overruns. So what sort of things were worked out in order to bring it to the level money-wise that needed to be done?
That conversation was primarily around the east-west concession stand. We did not include any of those items. We did bid those as alternates, so food service equipment for the east concession stand, as well as we're working on numbers. We have some electrical and plumbing numbers to get that area back up and running, and our design team is working on a design for an east concession stand, so we don't have solid numbers for that. It's looking like it's going to be around $100,000. A lot of that cost is just getting the electrical and plumbing back in place, converted to the new system from the old system. So we don't have a solid number yet, and again, that's going to be something that would have to come out of contingency, because as of bid package 3 with our VE amount, we are right on budget. I do want to mention in bid package 2, we did borrow some money from contingency. We've paid the majority of that back. I think we're short $40,000 or $50,000, something like that, but we did replenish that as well. So we're working on the concession stand. I'm much more comfortable with the route we're going now than the numbers that were thrown out prior to how much that was going to be. So we're working on maybe a less expensive, but still a nice concession stand on that east side. It's kind of a compromise. So.
Now, there are new concession stands going on north and south. Am I remembering correctly?
There's a new concession in the south lobby,
South.
on the first floor and on the third floor.
Okay.
And then on the third floor on the north side, that existing concession stand is going to get rehabbed as well.
Okay.
Other questions? Thanks for the update, Justin. If there's no other questions of council, I would entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve contract amendment number 3 for the Hutchinson Sports Arena project and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? Please call roll.
Iris Carvalho,
Yes.
Soldner,
Yes.
Inskeep,
Yes.
Deckent.
Yes.
Dave Line.
Yes. Next item, please.
Item 8B, consider 2015 financial audit report.
I've got a full supplemental from the commission I just want to hand out to you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Frank Edwards, Director of Finance again. At the prior council meeting, we had provided you with the actual audit report that is now complete, that was done by Lindbergh Vogel Pierce Ferris. And today we are here to actually formally present that to you and request that the city council accept the audit. The audit was, in my opinion, a clean audit. We didn't have any material adjustments to the audit, and I think the findings were that the financial statements were fairly presented in all material respects. And with that, we have Randy Hoffmeyer, who is the audit manager of our process, and he is here to answer any questions you may have of him or myself. And if no questions, we would ask you consider accepting the audit as presented.
So is it your intention to go through this page by page then?
I
That
hope
was
not.
your homework assignment from 2 weeks ago?
Okay.
Our holiday
Good question, good
present.
response.
Well, are
So
there
we're-
any questions?
Well, were there any issues that identified, even if they were minor elements or practices that should be
No.
addressed? No?
Not really.
Wow.
They
Wonderful.
do a great job.
Good.
Has that been the case usually in our audits?
It has been.
Very good. Excellent.
One thing I would want to point out, in 2014, you did not have to have a single audit. In 2015, you did have to have a single audit, which is an audit of your federal financial assistance programs. So that information is included in this audit.
Procedurally, any other recommendations that you have, Randy?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Good.
Excellent work, staff. Finance Department. Any other questions of our Finance Department or Mr. Hoffmeyer?
You make it difficult to
Great
come up with
work.
questions.
Yeah, great
So
work.
good job. I'd move we accept and approve the 2015 financial audit report as prepared and presented.
Second.
Please call roll.
Iris De Carvalho,
Yes.
Soldner,
Yes.
Inskeep,
Yes.
Deckent,
Yes?
Dave Line.
Yes, next item, please.
Item 9, report of city officials.
Council, we've got 2 hours to consider here, so Nancy, do you have something?
No.
No, nothing, all right. Steve?
Nothing, thank you.
Nothing, all right.
Just a question and maybe guidance. I got an email from an individual who lives on 22nd Avenue, 22nd and Hendricks area. And during the repaving process, some of their sprinklers, because they don't have curbs, my understanding in that particular neighborhood, were covered up with street material. And so when asked to have it remedied, the group came out and basically chipped out the sprinklers, but they're still in the street. And I don't know if that's something I'd want to visit with maybe Bruce about. I was going to ask John, but he's on his personal time right now. So is that probably engineering?
We'll
question?
address it.
We'll-
Just give it to me, and I'll see that they follow up on it.
I appreciate that, Paul.
Good, thank you, Dave. All right. Jay, anything?
Just reminding everybody to mark their calendars for July 28th, 6 to 8 at the atrium. I think that's going to be a great opportunity to get your input about what you want our city to look like in the next 20 years.
Definitely.
Thank you. All right.
Thanks,
I
John.
don't have anything this morning. Mr. Brown, do you have anything?
Just a reminder, the city manager said to remind you that on July 12th, there will be another budget study
Week
session.
from today. At 8 a.m.
8
Or is
a.m.
it 7 a.m.?
No,
Did
John.
we
I
decide?
believe it's
I'm
8
good with
a.m.
6.
Majority? 8 a.m., sorry. Anything else, Mr. Brown?
Just a motion for executive session on the agenda.
Is there a motion to?
What time would you suggest we set that?
Let's
to end?
try 11 o'clock.
Okay. I would move to recess into executive session pursuant to the employer-employee negotiations exception, KSA 75-4319B3, in order to discuss pending issues related to the 2017 contract negotiations with the city's bargaining units. The open meeting to resume in the city council chamber at 11 o'clock a.m.
Second.
All right. Please call roll.
Iris De Carvalho,
Yes.
Soldner,
Yes.
Inskeep.
Yes.
Deckent,
Yes.
Dave Line.
Yes.